Hello and welcome. This is going to be your video covering Access Chapter 1. Make sure that before you begin watching this that you have read through the introductory pages for the chapter that you're going to find on AC2 and AC3. There's some vocabulary you need to make sure you know, such as database, database management system, a record, a field, a unique identifier, and a primary key. So we are going to be doing a database for Bavant Publishing. If you've already started the database, that's okay. If you have not, when you open Access, you're going to have to choose what to do. For this one, make sure that you're following along very carefully. Do not get ahead of me because not everything can be undone. Sometimes you just have to redo it. So we're going to go to Blank Desktop Database. You're going to click just one time on it, and it's going to open it up where you can name it. Now, if you double-clicked, you're by-stepping. You just skipped over this step, so you need to try again. It's going to say, what do you want to name it? We're going to name it AC1 Bavant. And I want you to put your first name. Okay, you can move it. So if you have a folder for this class, which I recommend, you can move it there and save it in it. Then go ahead and hit Create. So when you open it up, it's going to start you out with one table that is blank. Make sure as you're clicking along that you stay with me. Do not get ahead and accidentally get down to the next line, because sometimes if you click in the blank one, it will not let you out of it, because it says you must set the primary key cannot be left blank, in this case the ID, because that's the only one there. And if that happens to you, you're going to have to type something in it, enter that into the cell by pressing Tab or Enter or clicking next to it, and then you would have to right click over here and choose Delete Record. Okay? So we have our database now created. Some things to know. Over here, you're going to see any tables, any queries, anything that you have created will be listed over here. So I recommend keeping this open all the time. This is going to be your workspace. So we're going to be starting with a table, so it's set up so we can see the workspace for a table. So the first thing we have to do is determine our tables and fields. Well, we know that for our Bavant Publishing, we want to have two tables. We want to have a table for our customers and a table for our clients. And in each table, we're going to have fields. Remember the fields? If you looked at your definition, the fields are the different categories of information we would have, such as the customer ID number, their name, their address. Those are each a field. When you're naming your tables and fields, some things to remember, and this is on page 8 in the book, your names can be up to 64 characters in length. They can contain letters, digits, and spaces, as well as most punctuation symbols. You cannot contain a period, an exclamation point, an accent mark, or square brackets. And every field in a table must have a unique name. In multiple word names, each word typically will begin with an uppercase letter, and you can put a space between the name. For the primary key, I said every record must have a primary key, and this is their unique identifier. So for a person, this would be like your social security number. In this case, for our customer table, we're going to set the primary key as the customer number, and for our book rep table, we will set that as the book rep number. You can just go ahead and leave ID if you want, but we're going to go ahead in this case and create our own. When you set the primary key, you can either have it automatically number for you, and Access will begin numbering with record 1, 2, 3, or you can set your own ID numbers. Some things to know about determining the data types for a field. So when we set up our field, we're going to have to figure out what kind of data type it is, and this will make more sense to you in a minute once we actually start working on it. But there are 4 primary types of data types. The first one is a short text. And if you want to see in your book, this is on page 9. But a short text is a field that can contain any characters, and the maximum number is 255 characters. A number, a field that can contain only numbers. The number can either be positive or negative. You can use this type for arithmetic operations. You usually assign a field that contains numbers but will not be used as arithmetic operations as a short text. So we talked about like your zip code, your phone number, things that are not, a number that is not used for math, we're not going to consider a number, we're going to consider that a text. So your zip code would not be a number. Currency. This is a field that can contain only monetary data. The values will appear with a currency symbol such as your $sign, your commas, and your decimal point, and it will have 2 digits following the decimal point. You're only going to put types of numbers that can be used in math here. And finally, the 4th one is a date and time. This will allow you to store dates and or times in it. Okay, there's some other things for field sizes, and you can read those. Those are on page 10 in your textbook, but we're going to start with creating our table. So we're starting on page 12 in the book if you're following along. So because we already have a table that is kind of set up for us, we need to rename the ID field because we don't want this to be called ID. This is going to be our book rep table. So I'm going to right click where it says ID, and I'm going to choose rename field. When you're typing these, make sure you type them exactly correct. Do not make any typos. We're going to name it book rep number. So book rep number. Click the white space immediately below that. So down here where it says new. Okay. Because the data type needs to be changed from auto numbers to short text, so up here I can look and see that the data type is an auto number. That's where Access would automatically number it for me. I do not want Access numbering it for me. I want to assign my own, so I'm going to change that to a short text. Okay. Next, I'm going to click the field size. I do not need my field size to be 255 characters long, so I'm going to get rid of that number and I'm going to make this a 2 because I only want someone to be able to enter 2 digits into that field. The next one I'm going to click is the name and caption. So the name is exactly what we named it here, but we can change the caption so that sometimes the caption is shorter. Like here we can see not all of book rep number is showing, so we're just going to name it BR space number sign or the hashtag. So BR space number sign. And this way, because this is probably what I would type for an abbreviation. Your description is what exactly are you wanting in that field. For this one, it is the unique identifier of the book rep. So the unique identifier of the book rep, and press OK. If you need to pause the video at any time so that you can keep up, please do so. So now we have one field set in our table. We're now going to define the remaining fields in the table. So we're just going to, where it says click to add, I'm going to click to add. The first one we're going to do, this is going to be a short text. It is going to be last name. I'm on page 14. Click the white space below it so that it completes that. Make sure you get into this white space, not under the book rep number. You may have to actually move like I just did. This one we're going to change the field size to 15. And then we're ready for the next one. So we're going to continue to do this for the remaining fields, which is your first name, street, city, state, postal code, start date, salary, and bonus rate. you need to actually look in your book at figure 11. Sorry, not figure 11. I'm looking for the table that this is coming from. Okay, the table in your textbook is on page 11, so you need to go ahead and look there, and you're going to continue with the first name, street, city, state, postal code, start date, salary, and bonus rate. Make sure you're looking at the data type and you're changing all your data types here. Your field sizes are all changed here. And any notes, so we've already done book rep, so we don't have to worry about the notes from those. Start date does have a note, and so you'll be able to choose that there. And whenever you get to bonus rate where it says fixed format and 2 decimal places, don't worry about that right now. Okay, we're just going to be entering the data type and the field sizes. So we're just going to go ahead with that. Make sure you click in the white space below it before you try to change your field size. And also double check to make sure you do not skip any. You need to make sure you have all of the fields and that you have them in the correct order. Oops, that one did not record for me, so I have to go back and do it again. So I forgot to change that one to a short text, so I could just change it there. So here's my start date, so this one's going to be my date and time. You will notice that with the date and time one, there is no field sizes. My salary is going to be currency. And again, there's no field size for this one. You could, if you wanted here, you could do some of the formatting. We're just going to leave it at the default format. And then my bonus rate is going to be a number. Okay, so now I have them entered. Make sure that you double check that you have the BR number, last name, first name, street, city, state, postal code, start date, salary, and bonus rate. If you have missed one, you need to add it. Now here's a tip. Just like in Excel, you could add it over here and you can drag it to where it needs to go. So if you accidentally skipped one, make sure you get it in there, but make sure you do it right now and make sure everything is spelled exactly correctly. Sorry, exactly correct. So moving on, we are ready to save our table. Now there's a couple different things. You will notice that as you're going along, there's actually an X over here that will close the table and an X up here that will close the entire file. If I say close a table, make sure you're using this one, not this one. So we want to save this. A lot of times Access does save automatically, so if I was to try and close the table, it would go ahead and save it the way it is. But just to make certain, we're going to come up here to the picture of the disk, or you can press Control S on your keyboard. we're going to